Dixon of On3.com, the Bengal Tiger, with all of your recruiting news. Both of these guys, LSU lifers, been covering the Tigers for quite some time. And guys, it was a different Florida game, and I'm going to talk to you guys about that because you've both been around the rivalry for quite some time. But certainly a huge step for this LSU Tiger football team as they go into the Swamp and get the 45-35 victory over those Gators. Really a push game going in, so it could have gone either way. The Gators actually favored at home, but it was LSU coming out with the victory. Let's get it going. Let's get your thoughts. Shay, we'll start with you. Just your recap of that Florida LSU game in the Swamp.
Well, I think my overall thought is about like everybody else's. The offense for the first time all season has really been clicking out of the gates. That's what everyone to see him start fast, and then everyone wanted to see Jaden Daniels take those steps in the passing game, be a little bit more aggressive. 6 possessions, the first 6 possessions, all touchdowns. What more can you ask? Defensively, I'm sure we'll get into it all, but I really thought that 2 sustained drives for Florida. You're still giving up some big plays here and there for touchdowns. You got to get that cleaned up, but overall, leaving there with a win like that, most confidence I've had in the team all season.
Yeah, Brian Kelly said 4 big defensive busts. Those were maybe the things that they'd like to tighten up on, and certainly tackling. Matt, your thoughts after this Tiger win?
Yeah, I think, well, obviously they're getting Kayshon Boutte involved early was huge. He had his best game of the season, something we've all been waiting to see. For me, I think the whole season is about how do they continue to progress. LSU got down early. We've seen them get down early in every game. That's no big deal. What was important, I think, in this game is how they responded to the adversity of a week ago. They got pounded by Tennessee. And so we didn't know how LSU would look if they would get off the mat. And it didn't look good early. You allow the 47-yard kickoff return, you get down 7-0. And then, as Shea mentioned, you reel off 6 straight touchdown drives. I think the most impressive thing about this team is they just don't ever seem to be bothered by the moment. And that's why even when you give up the Anthony Richardson touchdown to start the fourth quarter, you know, you still feel, and here it is. I mean, he's pretty good, by the way. Well, that's not the touchdown, but he's pretty good. But you never felt like the game was really out of reach, and I think that's encouraging with this team as they continue to progress and develop.
You know, we're seeing some of the special teams miscues. Jack Besh maybe out there with a strained back, as Brian Kelly would tell us after the game. The Tigers giving up the score, but able to overcome it, and it really did feel like it was going to be a track meet early, but you felt like LSU had a chance to settle down in the second half like we've seen most of the season, and they did that. Really, you know, the big key, I think, is Jaden Daniels putting the ball out there for his receivers to make plays. Maybe none better illustrating that than this play right here to Brian Thomas. And, you know, I don't think it was a catch from our vantage point. We had
Brian Thomas touchdown?
We had an actual reverse angle where you could see the ball come loose, but I think he did a good job of trying to pin it with his hand. I'm not sure, but either way, it doesn't matter. But, guys, this is one thing that I thought was interesting, and being there and being around this rivalry, you guys can speak to it. There is usually so much animosity with LSU and Florida in the pregame, but what's happened this year is Billy Napier has hired so many people from LSU staff, and obviously so many people from Louisiana coming from Lafayette, that it was handshakes and hugs in the pregame. It was very, very odd. Shay?
I mean, I'm just looking through these highlights again. It's kudos to Mike Denbrock, kudos to Jaden Daniels, the offense for executing. And you talk about, look, their confidence level, you can see it, the fight, the never feel like they're done. That's been there all year. I think offensively, for me, a big part of that goes back to Jaden Daniels. Brian Kelly said it in the preseason. I asked him, I said, what is the one thing that you can sense when Jaden's in there? Because this was a quarterback race in camp. It wasn't always Jaden's job, right? And he said the whole offense just calms down. Yeah. Everybody is a little bit more kind of patient, understands Jaden's in control of things. And I think we're seeing that. I think that's a guy who's got 30-something starts. He's not going to be phased on the road in Gainesville.
We're going to talk about Jaden in a moment, but I think one big thing that's maybe getting overlooked is Will Campbell being back in the lineup and what that does offensively.
Yeah, my other takeaway would have been the offensive line. Against Tennessee, LSU allowed 5 sacks and 9 tackles for loss. It doesn't matter what plays you call or how effective you think your quarterback can be. If you don't have time to function within the offense, you can't achieve anything. In this game, Will Campbell gave up a sack on the first possession of the game. There's only 3 tackles for, that was the only sack of the game, and only 3 tackles for loss allowed. The offensive line was fantastic. They were fantastic, and they're getting better, which is really encouraging as you head to the meat of your schedule here.
And I think that's really what every Tiger fan, and certainly what Coach Kelly wants to have, is that improvement. He talked about making those strides in his weekly press conference.
We were trying to fight for every blade of grass, and sometimes you just got to make some plays. the big touchdown, throw to Jere Jenkins. They jump offside. That's part of our offense. Take a shot down the field. Maybe early in the year we throw that out of bounds. So just staying at it and being consistent with coaching it, and then telling our guys that, look, sooner or later we got to step up and make these plays, and they did on Saturday. And now we've got to be consistent at it. You can't do it one week and then turn it off the next week and expect to win.
And that will certainly be the challenge with the back half of this schedule. When we come back, we're talking about the next challenge, the Ole Miss Rebels coming to town, a high-powered offense in a different form and fashion that we're used to from Lane Kiffin. That's next.
These days, it's hard to sell that old car, boat, or RV. Save yourself the hassle and get a tax break as well. Donate your car or boat to St. Vincent de Paul and help a charity that's been helping Baton Rouge for over 150 years. Now more than ever, St. Vincent de Paul needs your help.
Are you considering a plant-based wellness option to help with anxiety, pain, trouble sleeping, and other debilitating conditions? Transformative Health Center is certified to help. Appointments are available online from the comfort of your home. You'll talk to a local doctor who will take the time to answer your questions in confidence. Take the first step to see if you qualify for a medical marijuana recommendation. Call or visit transformativehealthcenter.com and let's start the conversation.
Our friends at Home Bank are known for investing in and giving back to our community.
That's why we are partnering to collect coats to pass Coats for Kids.
As you know, LeVar, the need to keep the kids of our area warm grows every year.
We're here to help. You can stop by any of our 4 Baton Rouge locations to donate coats. Corporate, Bluebonnet, Sherwood Forest, and Long Farm Village.
You can also help by donating online at WBRZ.com.
Help keep a child warm this winter, and we guarantee it will warm your heart.
The nimble, instinctual driving dynamics of the 2022 Mazda CX-9 defies what a 3-row CUV can feel like.
Get 1.9% financing for 60 months on a new CX-9 right now at Team Mazda.
At Benny's, we have everything you need to maintain your car, truck, or SUV. Benny's has 9 car washes with unbeatable, unlimited membership pricing. 6 express oil changes offering full lube checks and free top-offs while you relax in your vehicle. And 3 Be-Quicks serving fresh food, hot coffee, and the supplies you need for your everyday adventures. Plus, receive fuel discounts on every gallon with each Benny's Unlimited Wash membership. Find us online at bennyscarwash.com or download the Benny's Car Wash app to find a location near you.
We now return to the WBRZ Sports Takeover.
Side working from the far side hash as LSU attacks left to right. Boy, it looked like somebody was in the neutral zone. There's a flag. Free play. Daniels airs it out near side looking for Jenkins. Caught at the 15-yard line far side. He's into the end zone. Touchdown. Tigers. 54-yard strike to Jere Jenkins, his 4th touchdown of the year.
I'm not sure who's more consistent, Chris Blair or Jere Jenkins. Jere just once again making plays quietly under the radar.
You noticed the first guy that celebrated with Jere? Kayshon Boutte. Oh, I thought he didn't care.
I think that's some great narratives, and both of you, we can talk about these things, some things that maybe you dive into. Obviously, I wasn't on social media because I was at the game, couldn't really plug into it, but the play sheet was something that was interesting to me to hear all the chirping and chattering that Brian Kelly was getting involved in the play calling. And then I've heard you on your show talk about people feeling like Kayshon isn't as locked in. Well, he had his first 100-yard receiving game. Fantastic. As you said, they really went to him early. What do you think, I guess, let's just do a general temperature gauge of the fan base right now.
I think people convince themselves of narratives and use sometimes ancillary evidence that they can't really confirm to prove or disprove that. Kayshon's a great example. You see like a 3-second snippet on the sideline of Kayshon and Jaden Daniels talking, and if you've convinced yourself he's disengaged, then you use that as evidence to prove he's disengaged, when really they might have been talking about what they have for dinner. You're like, who cares?
I can tell you from being on the sidelines, he's as happy and as cheerful as I've ever seen.
Talk to any player, any coach, anybody within that program, they think he's great. I think the general temperature of the fan base right now, to answer your question, is you go to Florida and you score 45 points, people are pretty stinking happy and think that they're going to win this week against Ole Miss. And when you look at the struggles that Arkansas has had defensively and the fact that A&M stinks, you're looking at this going, man, could they get to 8 or 9? Like, it all of a sudden seems kind of realistic if they play like that.
Shay, you had a question about the play, the piece of paper, I guess.
Well,
that Brian
yeah,
Kelly
it was a
sporting
small
this week.
index card, essentially. Well, people were convinced during the game that he was calling all the plays now because he was holding something in his hand. So I asked him what was in his hand, and I thought this was going to be the answer, but it was situational stuff. It was my notes on when I think we should be going for it, what I want to do, at different points in the game, whether it's with clock management or whatever it might be. So, and then he said, what did he say? I think he said it to one of y'all. Yeah, Mike Denbrock does call all the plays, especially all the good ones, and then I call all the great ones, which I liked.
But that goes back to the point. Maybe Brian Kelly has that sheet every game.
Yeah.
We just didn't see it on camera except this time. Like, you gotta understand.
I did preface my question with that by saying I don't watch you all game, but it was the first time we had noticed.
I didn't have a chance to go back through the video and pull it, but I did have a great clip that I was going to tweet at you, Shay. Is Brian Kelly is yelling at the officials trying to get their attention, and he pulls out one of his sheets. He has multiple sheets, but he pulls out one of his sheets, reads the guy's name, and then yells, Mike, Mike. So there's a lot of different things on the sheets, but certainly the play calling is working. Jaden Daniels looking the best he has all season long. As you said, Shay, 6 straight scoring possessions. Jaden 8 of 9 on third down. I thought that was huge. And really the Tigers offense seems to be developing that trust in one another to make the plays when it's needed. Not Brian Kelly. The players actually talked about kind of turning the corner with this Tiger offense.
It's a new offense, new guys, just, trying to get right with those guys. But like I said, throughout the weeks, we've been right there on the edge to go out there and make plays and put up the stats that we know we can. And tonight we showed it.
We're starting to get a rhythm, I feel like. Whenever you play with guys for a certain amount of time, you start to get things that you wouldn't do with a new guy or something like that. So I definitely feel that we're starting to get along and play well.
Just talking about the trusting the receivers and for them to go make plays. And they showed that they could do that tonight. We could build on that, just keep moving forward.
The way he was zipping that ball to all the receivers, giving our receivers a chance to make those plays. BT, Kayshawn, Malik, Jure, all those guys are big-time receivers, and it was just so fun to watch that offense explode tonight.
Jaden has 6 touchdowns, he carried our team, he leaded our team. Whenever we were in a time of doubt, he stepped up and made a play, so that's just Jaden.
All right, we got some news and notes. Obviously, they did a fantastic job. We talked about Will Campbell and the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. Jack Bech, day-to-day with back spasms. Maybe unlikely is what it sounded like to me that he'll play this week against Ole Miss. Or it certainly won't be back there fielding punts, I think. Armani Goodwin, though, expected to return to practice this week and play. And, of course, it's a 2:30 kickoff inside Tiger Stadium against the Rebels. And the bye week is coming up next week. So let's talk about those Ole Miss Rebels. Lane Kiffin and company coming to town, and it is a different look this year than what we're used to in the past. In fact, the Rebels third in the nation in running the ball, 271 yards per game. Coach Kelly has obviously faced off against Lane previously during their time at USC and Notre Dame, and he was very complimentary of the job that Kiffin does, not on offense, but holistically as a coach.
Offensively, there's always an answer to what you do in game as well. But I think more importantly, they scout you out. I mean, you better know your own self-scouting and where your tendencies are. Because he's going to really dial in on if there's anything that you do. If you do anything defensively, he is going to analyze that and have an answer for it. So you got to be very good at your self-scout.
Guys, that kind of surprised me. Everybody thinks about Lane Kiffin and this offensive guy that's just out there drawing up plays in the dirt and, throwing his clipboard left and right. But Kelly very complimentary about the prep that he and his staff are able to do in anticipation of facing you.
Lane Kiffin's matured tremendously as a coach. I mean, we first saw him as a guy in his early 30s with the Raiders, probably a little ahead of his skis then also at Tennessee and SC. But he went to Nick Saban's home for rehabilitated coaches, and all of a sudden comes out as one of the best coaches in the country. He would give any defensive staff reason for pause because of how creative he is.
Shay, your thoughts on the Rebels and what Lane is doing with their rushing attack?
Oh, yeah, look, this is the old Baylor offense, the Bryles offense, and Tennessee runs it with Heupel. It's just run a little bit differently this year with Lane because Ole Miss can really run the football. This is a game, Brian Kelly said it, every week he sort of leads off his opening press conference with some sort of forewarning of what could be to come. This week was, if you can't stop the Rebels on the ground, it could be a long day.
And Jackson Dart, their quarterback, one of the reasons why teams are having difficulty stopping them on the ground. We're going to talk about number 2 coming up next after this.
Have a passion? We've got the place. Gear up for where the rubber meets the mud, or stir up memories of a lifetime. Reach new heights. Gravitate towards something out of this world. Even travel back in time. You might like a little drama in your life, or get in touch with your inner nature lover. Release some pent-up energy while you're at it. There's plenty to do beyond the swing sets. Brack, we're more than a playground.
After decades of duplicating, we're going digital, providing our customers with the latest technology and exceptional customer service.
Before, years ago, we just simply used the copy machine to copy, but now we're able to copy and print and scan and email, and that just with one machine. That makes everything easier. Not only do they sell the product and guarantee it, they back it up and they service that product.
Call us now for all of your digital office products. BRDP, experience no one can copy.
The 2023 Ford F-150 trucks are coming, meaning more ways to haul, tow, go, and do, and with more ways than ever to make it your own. Plus, if you order now, you'll lock in your price and lock in your rate. Do more in a 2023 Ford F-150. Custom order yours today. Lock in 3.9 for 60 and get $500 bonus cash when you order a 2023 Ford F-150. Only at your Southern Quality Ford dealer.
Are you considering a plant-based wellness option to help with anxiety, pain, trouble sleeping, and other debilitating conditions? Transformative Health Center is certified to help. Appointments are available online from the comfort of your home. You'll talk to a local doctor who will take the time to answer your questions in confidence. Take the first step to see if you qualify for a medical marijuana recommendation. Call or visit transformativehealthcenter.com and let's start the conversation.
We now return to the WBRZ Sports Takeover.
Welcome back, everyone. Matt Moscona, Shea, Dixon, Michael Cauble with you, talking a little Tiger football. In this situation, talking a little Ole Miss Rebel football. 7-0 on the year, top 10 ranked. Lane Kiffin and company. Maybe you could say they haven't necessarily faced anybody. Their stiffest competition.
They haven't necessarily faced anybody.
You could say that. Their stiffest competition so far, Kentucky. That was their tightest game as well, a 22-19 victory when Will Levis was in and out of the ball game. But you're right, Georgia Tech, I think, on their roster.
Central Arkansas,
Tulsa, Troy, opening
Vanderbilt.
up with that. Auburn. But what they have done
Nobody.
What they have done is, for the most part, taking care of the ball and taking out their opposition with their offense. And one of the big reasons is their quarterback, Jackson Dart. Dart, a transfer, a California kid who came over and certainly started making plays in this Lane Kiffin offense. And he can do it with both his legs and his arm. Guys, what have you seen early in Jackson Dart?
Well, it's the same thing with Matt Corral. People forget. I mean, Corral was a great passing quarterback, and there's a lot of people who think that Corral is the best quarterback at Ole Miss ever, not named Manning. So Jackson Dart had big shoes to fill. Remember, Lane did a weird thing where he volleyed starting quarterbacks for the first 3 weeks, but he had the luxury because of their schedule. They've settled in on Jackson Dart, who can spin the ball, and Brian Kelly talked about that. Really beautiful deep ball thrower. But for this offense to work, the quarterback has to run. People forget last year, Tennessee, when Ole Miss won that game at Tennessee, Matt Corral ran over 30 times in that game. So sometimes Jackson Dart is called on to do that. It's a different challenge than what you saw with Anthony Richardson. But Jackson Dart can run the ball, and you got to respect that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jackson Dart's good. I think, though, you want to make Jackson Dart beat you in this one. You see it there. Zach Evans, they've got a true freshman in Judkins who's been on fire this year. So Ole Miss on this, like throwing it out of the backfield, they want to use those two running backs as much as they can, two really talented ones. Matt and I were talking before the show. Ole Miss doesn't have a ton of receivers that just blow you out of the water, right? That this is going to wow you and don't let the X, Y, and Z beat you. Those guys aren't even being covered right there, so that's not an issue.
It is Vanderbilt, too.
So Jonathan Mingo set the school single-game receiving record that's in there against Vanderbilt. He had 290 yards, something like that. And he didn't catch a pass a week later, this past Saturday against Auburn. So the passing game for Vanderbilt or for Ole Miss, I guess you have to respect it, but it's not like against Tennessee where their guys were so much better than your DBs.
They passed to set up the run at Ole Miss, and that's the thing Brian Kelly said was they really do a great job of spreading you horizontally across the field, and then they hit you up the gut. But don't sleep on it. As Matt said, Brian Kelly complimented Jackson Dart's throwing ability.
I mean, he's a beautiful thrower of the football. I mean, you know, he is California, throw the football. I mean, he has all those traits. But he's also athletic enough and can run that they've put him now in a system where he becomes a dual threat. So, we've played Hooker. We've played Richardson. We're going to play Jefferson. These are big-bodied, thick, physical quarterbacks, right? They're all really good quarterbacks that can throw, but they don't throw like this kid. This kid has the ability to drop back, 50 times if they wanted to and throw the football.
Let's take a look at the tail of the tape. A step up in competition across the board for the Tigers this week, coming from Florida to Ole Miss. As we said, they really do run it well. Number 3 in the nation in rushing offense, but they defend it pretty well as well. Top 20 in scoring defense, sacks, and tackles for loss. That's something that you don't necessarily associate with an Ole Miss team. And guys, let's be fair, right? It is a lot of the competition they're playing.
They haven't played anybody.
Tulsa, Vandy, Troy, some of those teams.
Auburn.
Yes.
Auburn ran the ball for 300 yards against Ole Miss last
So the Tigers, with Armani Goodwin back, could have a nice complimentary run game there, no doubt. All right, that one kicking off 2:30 Saturday inside Tiger Stadium. We joked about it during the weekend, the Saints necessarily not pulling up their end of the bargain, but everyone pretty happy when Alabama loses. And we have some fantastic video of Nick Saban here as his Crimson Tide team fell to Tennessee. Now, we all saw the ending of this game. We saw the kids rush the field. What a knuckleball of a kick that was right there, huh? But it was true, and the goalpost came down in Neyland. Not only did they come down, they took them all the way down to the river and then threw them in the river. I think that's one of the fantastic things about college football is the passion, of course, right? But Tennessee turned around and really did something that's a head-scratcher as they went and posted on their social media sites that they are actually crowdfunding to replace said goalposts. Matt, I know you are a little spicy on this topic.
It's so stupid. You generate $140 million annually in your football department. You have an endowment of $1.3 billion. Tennessee is a top 10 program in the country in resources. What are you doing? I've seen some Tennessee media people who have come out and said, how do you not get that this was a joke and a general fundraising effort? If this was a general, first of all, if you have to explain the joke, your joke sucks.
Right.
And if it's a general fundraising effort, just ask for money. The people will give it. They haven't won anything in 15 years. I had Tennessee people baseball smack talking me last week. That's how they're desperate to win anything. They'll give you all. They'll just dump up their wallets on the way out of Neyland if you ask them. It's stupid.
I think, Shay, we're going to wrap out of this.
I thought it was a joke.
Yeah,
I
thought that they really missed the mark, and they should have appealed to every SEC fan and just said, "Give us $5 for beating Alabama for the first time."
I'd have given them $5.
Exactly. I think
Moscona would have been voted over.
Millions.
No problem.
They would have raised millions. All right, Matt, thanks for joining us this week. Shay, stick around. We're talking Tiger recruiting coming up after this.
Did the storm damage your roof?
At Homeway United, our team of dedicated experts will evaluate the damage and work with the insurance company to get the roof you deserve.
We work for you and will handle the claim every step of the way.
Team up with Homeway United for all your roofing needs.
At Raising Cane's, we take pride in supporting our hometown of Baton Rouge. And this year, we're proud to partner with WBRZ's Pat's Goats for Kids.
Helping children stay warm from the cold has been our mission for over 34 years. And for just $20, you can give a coat to a child in need.
Help us spread one love this season by donating today. And on behalf of myself and all our Raising Cane's crew members, thank you for supporting Pat's Goats for Kids.
Pat's Goats for Kids is proudly sponsored by Raising Cane's.
Can't tell you how many people tried to discourage me when I said I'm opening up a haunted house.
How he comes up with this stuff in his head and designs it is mind-boggling.
If you love doing something, don't let anything or anyone stand in your way. If you want to be successful, you have to do what you love, even if it's a really strange thing like opening up a haunted house and scaring people for a living.
You know how far I've gone, now I'm home again. I'm feeling more alive these days than I've ever been.
At the Baton Rouge Clinic, our sole focus is to provide exceptional health care for your entire family so that you can get back to doing what you love most. We are caring for generations.
You give me love.
It's spooky movie season. Wednesday, Anna Joke and her horror film. Run, girl, run!
Tomorrow at 2 on WBRZ 2. Now return to the WBRZ Sports Takeover.
All right, one last segment here. Let's talk recruiting with Shea Dixon of the Bengal Tiger. And Shay, one of the things that I want to kind of get into is the coordinators. It's something that we haven't really talked a lot about, but Matt House obviously coming from the NFL and Mike Denbrock coming from college football, but not in the SEC. How are they assimilating to recruiting here in the SEC?
I think they've done well. Look, often with college coordinators, especially at this level, they don't recruit. Like, it's understood you're on game planning and everybody else does the recruiting for you. That's not the case here. Mike Denbrock is in charge of tight end recruiting, obviously has a heavy hand in quarterback, while Joe Sloan, the quarterback coach, leads the way there. But you look at Matt House, he is in charge of linebacker recruiting. So not only does a guy like Denbrock help oversee the offensive board, House oversees the defensive board, but House is recruiting all the linebackers. There's Denbrock right there. He's recruiting all the tight ends, which, Michael, might be one of the biggest need positions on the team. So I think more so than we've seen in recent years, the coordinators are pretty involved in pretty need positions if you look forward.
All right, we're coming down the stretch here. Let's look at LSU with a snapshot. Currently ranked 5th by y'all, 3rd in the SEC. 22 commits. You think that could go as high as 28? And we've got some of the top targets still left on the board. There's 4 there. Maybe out of those 4, who do you feel like LSU has the best shot at?
Look, the biggest name on there is a 5-star Nicholas Harbor, a track and field guy, a guy who's also ranked as an athlete, can play on either side of the ball, one of the best athletes in the country. But then you look down the list, I think a guy like Javian Toviano, who's on the list right there as a cornerback, is one that you could bring in and play immediately, which we haven't seen since the Stingley years.
All right, but the Tigers doing a fantastic job. A lot of question marks about how Kelly would do it. So far, they're doing it quite well, both on the recruiting trail and in the win-loss column. Thanks, Shay. Thank you for joining us. Sports Takeover next week. We'll be right back.